Hello fellow homeschool parents, Sonia here with Bethany Homeschool Academy bringing you another curriculum video. Today's curriculum video is on the language arts program that I used for my daughter when she was in kindergarten. Now we did use two language arts curricula, one being The Good and the Beautiful Level KLA and the other one being Logic of English. I am making another video on the Logic of English curriculum that we did use, so keep an eye out for that. Okay. Now, what is included with the Level KLA? What is included is the course book, a reader, 30 mini readers, as well as some phonics cards. Now these phonics cards are going to last you through level K as well as through levels 1 and 2. So if you do go ahead and start this curriculum at level K, I do highly suggest that you hold on to those phonics cards because you are going to use them for another 2 years. Now, for this curriculum, it does include in this course phonics, reading, spelling, literature, grammar and punctuation, and art appreciation. How to place your child. That's a question a lot of people ask. How do I place my child in a level? How do I know what level my child is? Well, I highly suggest going on the Good and the Beautiful website, which is goodandbeautiful.com, and taking the placement test. There are placement tests. Don't help your child with the placement test. Don't coach them through it. Don't try to give them the answers or any of that. If you're doing that, you are skewing the results and you will set your child up for failure. So do give your child a test. Allow them to be able to do all of the questions on their own. And from there, you will get a good, accurate result as to where to place your child. Okay. One of the placement tests that I do say is a little bit unreliable is the one for level K. Now, all they say that you have to know for level K is basically being able to tell the letter sounds for A through Z and give the letter names, I believe. I personally think a child coming into level KLA should actually be able to read and write CBC words without difficulty. If your child can do that, then by all means, go ahead and start them in level K. If they cannot do that, then I highly suggest starting at pre-K or pre-K primer level. Some people are kind of concerned about doing that because they're thinking like, well, level K, doesn't that mean kindergarten? So if my child is supposed to go into kindergarten, shouldn't they start at level K? No. The Good and the Beautiful levels do not correspond with grade level. Now, I know with my daughter, it kind of ended up happening that way just because of the fact that she did have excellent pre-K preparation and she did do some homeschooling for pre-K with me where she worked a lot in order to master all of those skills needed to be prepared for the level K when it was time for her to start kindergarten. Also, she is a slightly older kindergartner as well. So I do highly suggest the placement test. I do highly suggest taking the advice that I just gave you into consideration when placing your child. All right, so I did say this curriculum does include the course book. We have the reader, we have 30 mini readers, and we have the phonics cards. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the curriculum course book. When we open this course book, we see that this is the 3rd edition. This is the newest edition available. All right. At a glance, we can see that this includes phonics and reading, grammar, usage, and punctuation, and other. So under phonics and reading, we have B and D recognition, consonant blends, inflectional endings, ED and ING. We're also going to be learning and reviewing the 56 phonics cards included for level K, as well as working on 1 and 2 letter words. They do also work on more than 1 and 2 letter words. Obviously, we get into 4 letter words. We get into beginning and ending consonant blends. We also get into multisyllabic words and compound words. There are also some diagrams included here, short and long vowels, short words with long vowels, short words with Y, sight words, silent E, job number 1. Simple words, 3 sounds of ED, which are ed, d, t. Vowels and consonants, word families, words with a Y, like play, day, say. In the grammar, usage, and punctuation section, we have capitalization of proper nouns, capitalizing the word I, homophones, to, and to. Parts of speech, which are nouns and verbs included in this section. Plural nouns, sentences, starting sentences with a capital letter, syllables, and using appropriate end punctuation. Periods, question marks, exclamation. Other, we have antonyms, art appreciation, categories or categorizing things, oral narration, poetry memorization, rhyming, spelling patterns, and spelling of high frequency and irregular words. Here we come to the table of contents. Just to let you know, this does have 120 lessons. Now I know most people's school year is going to be 180 days. Don't worry about that. Just go ahead and do the 120 lessons. After that, you can come up with a plan of what you're going to do next. Some people do take the entire year to do the 120 lessons. Other people don't. I do highly advise that you do not rush your child through this curriculum and you do not just like skip through things in order to keep pace, whatever that means, okay? About this course, I do highly suggest that you read the About This Course section because it does answer many of your frequently asked questions. It is also going to give you some vital information as in preparation for this course. So items needed for the course, which is everything I just showed you, in addition to some additional household items that are going to be listed on different pages, okay? It does also give you a list of suggested items or items to always have on hand. I'm sorry, I am slipping up over my words here. Some things to always have on hand are scissors, glue, color pencils or crayons or other coloring things, and a personal whiteboard. A lot of people do use a dry erase board with a dry erase marker. Totally up to you what you want to use. If you don't want to buy one, you can also make one. How to complete this course. It tells you how many days you should expect to be using this course in order to complete it in a certain amount of time. All right. How to work on this curriculum with multiple family members. If you have a larger homeschool family that's going to be using this level. It also talks to you about sentence dictation. So a lot of people have questions about sentence dictation. What is sentence dictation and how do I do it with my child? It answers all your questions right there in that section. It also tells you not to rush or skip through lessons. Okay, and it gives you a list of all the books that are involved. Now, I did talk to you about the placement test. This is the assessment for this level. Like I said, I feel this assessment is not totally accurate. A lot of people who just use this assessment right here for this particular level and then think their child are ready for this, they find out that their child is not, because their child is not successfully reading CVC words and writing CVC words. They're also not ready when it comes to some of the writing that is going to be involved in this, as in handwriting. So they're going to need a little bit more motor dexterity in their hands for this. Another thing is blending. A lot of parents do say that their child is not very good at blending yet. So if that is the case, I do highly suggest going and starting with pre-K or pre-K primer levels, which will help you work on that. Another good resource to try is teach your child to read in 100 Easy Lessons. That's something that I use for my daughter for pre-K, and it really, really helped with blending. All right, now we come to the phonics cards. It tells you exactly which phonics cards you're going to use. In here, you're going to use cards numbers 1 through 56. It does also tell you how to organize those. Okay, now we're to the sight word ladders. Now, the sight word ladders, we just have, 12 columns of words. Some people feel that this is not enough words. They're used to the whole public school thing, and they're thinking, well, what about like what the public schools do? They use Deutsch words, Fry words, they use not your mother's sight words, and all of that. Okay, I totally understand. But this is an excellent curriculum, and I highly suggest that you trust the process. If you do want to go ahead and work on those other words, you can. Go ahead and download those words. Go ahead and get a copy of the Deutsch sight word list. You can find them online, totally free. Print it out and work with it. Work with your child on it. That's fine. I did that, okay? So the way we work on these words, it tells you right in the beginning, but basically you're going to have your child read these words. And the first time that they read this column of words without hesitation, you can go ahead and give them a check mark. If there is hesitation, then you don't want to give them a check mark. But 3 times reading this list without hesitation on different days, so, on different days I suggest, then you can go ahead and you check each individual box as that happens. And then once 3 boxes are checked in, is considered mastered. At that point, they can go ahead and do a little coloring activity. Right here, you color the cow. And eventually, by the time you're finished doing all of these sight word ladders, they will have completely colored the photo. It's a nice little incentive for some kids. Now, at the beginning of each unit, we have an overview here. It does tell you spelling words, some supplies that you might need. The mini books that are going to be used here, major principles that are taught, and other information. Okay. Lesson 1, 2-letter words, part 1. So it does start off pretty easy peasy with 2-letter words. We do reading of 2-letter words. We're also going to start getting into 3-letter words right away. There we go. Bam, 3-letter CVC words. Okay. And then some people think, oh, that's pretty easy, but it is going to pick up pace really quickly right after that. So keep that in mind. Another thing is a lot of parents stress over the short and long vowels. When they see this, their child is not able to master it right away and they kind of panic. Don't panic. Short and long vowels is going to come up over and over and over again throughout this curriculum, so keep that in mind. It is also going to be revisited again in level 1. Okay, we have CK, which is 2-letter K. It does also include literature, like I said. So the literature that is included in here is Bobby and the Big Road. I do highly suggest reading this with your child because it does also include some comprehension questions that go along with it. Okay. Some people, they consider the story to be a little bit boring. Oh, my child's not interested. My daughter wasn't interested either in the first few chapters, but after we got through the first few chapters, she actually started enjoying it. Okay. This is classical literature in here, just in case anybody wanted to know what kind of literature is in here. It is not modern age. It is classical. It is very godlike, very humble, and Christian. Okay? It doesn't have a whole lot of talk about God in it. That's not what I'm saying. It is not teaching religion. It is just teaching good moral values and a love for family. It also teaches respect, honesty, all of those good virtues. Okay, at the end of each unit, you will find a short little assessment. Now, some people are used to very, very lengthy assessments that are given at public schools. This curriculum does not give very lengthy assessments because of the fact that you are working one-on-one with your student or your child, right? So for that reason, you work with a child every day. You know exactly where they're at, exactly what they need to work on, and exactly what they don't. So for that reason, you don't need to do a huge lengthy assessment. You don't need to take all sorts of data or anything like that. And there is no funding that you're trying to get. Okay. So you don't need that. So just go ahead and do the assessment. They normally give you 60 seconds. They tell you your child should read this section right here at the top in 60 seconds. Okay. Some parents, they have children with dyslexia, children with autism, or other learning difficulties. If your child, if they were in a public school, would receive an IEP, then I do highly suggest that you get rid of the time constraint. Just let them read it and write down whatever their time is. Don't stress over it, okay? They would be given a little extra freedom if they were in public school or any other school, so give them that freedom. It's homeschooling. Ending consonant blends. So this curriculum does start with ending consonant blends before it does beginning consonant blends, and I actually really like that. It helped my daughter a lot. It's just backwards from the way that public schools do it, but it is very effective. Now I get into plural words. Plural words is just basically adding S or ES. Something very simple and something your child can hear when they're speaking. So right here we have short stories with sight words. And a review. Let's go ahead and take a look at a little lesson. This is a review lesson, but we're still going to go ahead and take a look at it because it does have these things right here in the beginning that a lot of people have questions about. So, practicing sight word letters. At the top of these lessons, you'll find little check boxes like this, and it'll tell you what you're going to be doing for this particular lesson. Not all of the lessons have it because not all the lessons require that you do things like sight word letters and phonics cards. I personally did do the phonics cards every single lesson, and I also worked on the sight words more often than they asked us to. We did also read books more often than we were told. That's just me. That's just the way I like teaching, and that's the way that my daughter learns well. So, right here it says practice the sight word letters. So those are in the beginning of the book. I already showed you them. Practice the phonics cards, which I also showed you. There are these little yellow cards right here. How you work on them is up to you. And then have your child read the Good and the Beautiful beginner books. Now, a lot of people have questions. What are those beginner books? Those beginner books are these A through D readers, but they are optional. You don't have to buy them, okay? If your child starts this off only being able to read CVC words and you want some CVC word readers, then there you go. They have box book A and B, okay? If your child is beyond that and you still want to buy them for confidence builders, go ahead and buy them. But I do highly suggest at least buying box sets C and D. We found these to be very, very helpful, and my daughter really did enjoy the excellent stories and beautiful illustrations. Okay, after that it tells you go ahead on to do some independent practice. I do highly suggest you let your child do the independent practice. Give them that trust. They can do it. Okay. And then that's it. Look at that, the end of that lesson. Same thing here. Look at this lesson. Lesson 40. Let's look at it. Read the following poems to the child. Then read the poem again, having the child repeat each line, then discuss the meaning of each poem. Explain that rubbers are rubber rain boots. So it gives you a little note in there. So you're going to go ahead and do it exactly what it says. Okay. Like I said, it includes poetry. After that, it tells you, if desired, research spider webs. So it does allow you the chance to go ahead and look at more information on this topic. A lot of kids are fascinated by spiders, so go ahead and do that. After that, there's an optional art project. This is a really cool little art project. It is a spider handprint. Kids really like that. So I do highly suggest doing the additional things like the little extra art projects and stuff like that. Kids really love it, and it really brings the curriculum alive. Then after that, it says, do the mini book. My cat is lost. So I'm not going to go ahead and look through all these books to find My Cat is Lost. But you just go ahead and you grab the mini book from here, and you'll read that. My cat is lost. It says, have the child read this mini book for the second and final time. So each of these mini books that they include in the curriculum are going to be read anywhere between 2 and 3 times. I do suggest having them read them a little bit more than that if you want, just so they can have that extra practice in reading. My child, I had her read it anywhere between 3 to 5 times. That was just us. Do whatever you like. Next, we have the independent practice spelling section. Same thing, independent practice. I do highly suggest letting your child actually do it independently. It's not very hard. And that's it. That's the end of that lesson. Boom. Really easy, okay? These lessons are very short and sweet. They don't take up too much of your day. But you can also expand on them however you see fit. Usually the lessons are perfect, though, for children this age. Okay. I'm just going to keep flying through. Right here we do have a spelling rainbow activity. It is a nice little craft project for your child to do. I do highly suggest having them do it. It includes everything that you need, all the little pieces you're going to cut out. All you need is scissors and glue. Well, and some little cotton balls. So, play and pray. Unit review, unit assessment, spelling words. So at the beginning of each unit, they do include a list of spelling words, but this list is also found at the beginning of the book. There's also more spelling words at the end of the book that I will show you shortly. Now, a lot of people, they do ask questions about, what about writing? If my kid were in public school, they would be doing a lot of writing. There's Writer's Workshop, X, Y, and Z, right? So The Good and the Beautiful has their own philosophy about writing. They don't like to start children on writing too early. A lot of people feel that the writing that kids are forced to do in kindergarten is a little bit too early, a little bit too much, okay? You can have your own view on that. Now, one thing it does say in The Good and the Beautiful, though, is once your child gets to lesson 57, they have already learned about sentences. They are going to learn in lesson 57 that sentences start with a capital letter, have spaces between words, and end with a punctuation. They're also going to learn what those 3 punctuation are. They're not going to be super, they're not going to have perfected it yet, right? Because that's just the first lesson on that. So they're going to need more work. So one thing you can go ahead and do, according to this book, is you can go ahead and start having your child write sentences out. So give them 1 sentence a day if you like. That's what I did. And give them one of the spelling words. So this is how you can work on sentence writing and spelling simultaneously. You can give them one of the spelling words and have them put that spelling word into a sentence. Okay? Just have them write that in a notebook. All right? Some people also feel that the spelling in this program is not enough for their child. If you don't feel it's enough, then go ahead and add more. Beginning consonant blends. So like I said, it does do ending and then beginning second. Silent E. Some people call this silent E or bossy E. The curriculum includes multiple lessons on that. Now here we are to capitalization rules. So we are going to do some capitalization practice. If your child is already writing sentences because you're working on that with them, then that should be pretty easy for them. We also like those sentence circles and reading things about honesty. Very nice. Now, I'm doing a total flip through of this book. I think I already said it why. I'm doing it because this is basically the only level that is not available for free on the Good and the Beautiful website. Levels 1 through 5 are available as free downloads for the PDF, and it gives you everything that you need in order to do the entire course for free. Level K They don't do that for it. So that's why I want to go ahead and do a complete flip through of this curriculum. So now we're at inflectional endings. We have ED and ING. This is going to be worked on for quite a long time. We're also going to get into base words, okay? Because you need to know what a base word is in order to know when to add ED or ING to a word. That's also going to be continued on in level 1. Now we're up to nouns and verbs. And they do have different activities to help your child be able to decipher between nouns and verbs. We have a writer's workshop. Like I said, The Good and the Beautiful does have their own philosophy when it comes to writing, so they do kind of try to keep it easy, but they do add in this writer's workshop for people who are interested. All it is your child will write 2 to 3 sentences on each picture. Then we'll move on to plural nouns, more plural nouns. We have some review, and then we're almost toward the end, so there's going to be a lot of review in here. Very regular review, which is awesome. I was spiraling back around. Coming back up to a writer's workshop again. Working on antonyms, some artwork. Like I said, this does also include art appreciation. So as you have seen throughout the book, it includes a lot of artwork. And you're going to be talking about that artwork, talking about the artist, and looking at the art and finding things within it. Okay, now we're at the final reading assessment. Like I did say, this book will always tell you when to go ahead and give a reading assessment to your child. There are reading assessments that are in the back of the book. We have reading assessment A, reading assessment B. Okay, and then a section here where you can go ahead and put the date and time that your child completed that reading section in. You will be prompted when to do everything. So if you don't see that yet, you probably didn't come to it yet. In the back of the book, we have a review practice chart. A couple of them actually. And then after that, we have a poetry memorization section with a bunch of poems that your child can go ahead and memorize. And then here's the section that I was talking about when it comes to sentences and spelling. Once you reach lesson 57 each day for spelling practice, have the child write sentences in a notebook that uses spelling words. Practice with handwriting skills and forming simple sentences is extremely beneficial at this level. Make sure the child starts each sentence with a capital letter and ends with the punctuation. Also, I suggest make sure that they put spaces between words. Talk about that as well, okay? If you want, you can have a spelling test. They do include more spelling words in the back of this book. Whether or not you want to use them is totally up to you. And that is the end of the course book. Okay, the reader. I'm just going to flip through it really quickly. I'm doing this all one-handed because I'm holding my camera with my other hand. You're prompted exactly when to read from this book. It not only prompts you in the course book, but it also prompts you in here at the beginning of each reading section when to start it. A lot of people have questions about that, but it does tell you right here on this page, section 1. After completing lesson 54 and lesson K, the child should read for the readers, they are all decodable readers. If there are any words in the reader that your child might have trouble with, they put it down there at the bottom as a challenge word. All right, now for the additional stuff. We have beginner books, boxes A through D. The first two, like I said, are mostly CVC. So let's go ahead and look at, I'm going to look at box C. That's where we're going to start. These books have excellent, beautiful illustrations. My daughter really likes these books. Okay. And they are relatively diverse for people who want to know about that. In these books, they include words with ED, ING, some compound words, multisyllabic words, stuff like that. It does also include some sight words. Okay, Mike and his plane, Jack and the ant, Dee and Dix, the Bat Cave, Liz and the skunk. And then after that, we have box set D. Now, each of these box sets includes 10 readers. All of these are sold separately. Okay, in the beginning, they do have some challenge words that you can go ahead and look at with your child. Work on them before you work on the book if you like. The illustrations are very beautiful and vivid. I just love the colors. Sheep named Rose, trucks, Can You Spy? Can You Spy is a beautiful book, by the way. Jane and the Lime Stand, A Bell for Miss May, Jamil Raise a Camel, Jill Gets a Fish. We love this book. It reminds us of my mom. My mom actually passed away last year from cancer. My daughter was reminded of her when we read that book. And then we have an informative book here, Shark Facts. Okay. We did use that Shark Facts book in order to encourage a writing piece that we did. All right, well, that is all for today on this curriculum. This is what I used for kindergarten. Language arts, one of our curriculum that we used. If you did like this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Have a nice day, and I will be making another video shortly. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.